Hello, everybody. Sorry, I'm off to a little bit of a late start there. I was editing one slide at the very last minute. There we go. And I have audio. Whoa, and I have too much audio because I have my other computer up. There we go. Woo, sorry about that. It's been a few weeks. I've been out of the country and I'm definitely jet lagged, if that's not obvious, because I'm making all sorts of little mistakes here. But happy to be back with you all again, and thank you for your patience with me the last few weeks as I've been traveling and working and all that fun stuff. So it's good to be here with you all, and I hopefully have figured out all the technology problems that were plaguing us the last time I tried to do a live stream. So here we are again, and looks like things are working finally. Let me know if you can't hear me. Yes, Annette is there saying hi from Denmark, and Al's here. Yay, wherever you are in the world now. And it looks like you guys can hear me. Yay. Happy to have you guys back, and good to see you all. And I'm sorry for the brain fog this morning. I fell asleep early last night and then ended up waking up at like 3 in the morning and never went back to sleep. But here we are, we're doing it, and things seem to be working. So let's get into it. And then I get to talk to you all tomorrow at our Tower Talk. All right, so what are we doing? We're doing You Be the Behavior Consultant, and hopefully my audio is still coming through. It's our live stream. I try to do every Monday at 11 when I'm in town. I wasn't in town the last couple weeks. I was actually overseas, my first international travel since the pandemic. And what do? I present a topic for discussion, and oh good, it sounds good, thank goodness. And we try to make this a group discussion, so you guys all get to participate, share your experiences and your perspectives and your ideas, and then we get more into the topic. I've got lots of videos that I had all lined up for us the last time, but we didn't get to share them because this software that I use updated, and then it wouldn't connect to Facebook or to YouTube. But so what I did is I went back to an earlier version, and so now it's working. And then we'll recap everything at the end. All right, so what we're going to talk about this time is creative ideas to overcome common shifting challenges. And so the challenge, so this is a very practical application based one, although there's obviously behavior science in there, as there always is, but this one is definitely going to be quite practical application based for you experts out there who have experienced challenges with getting animals to shift. So what do you do if you can't get the animal to move, or a group of animals to move? So that's really the aspect of it that I wanted to focus on, not so much about doors shutting. We kind of talked about that in a previous live stream. But what if you can't get the animal to move towards the space where you want them to shift? And what are those things that often make getting movement difficult? And I know I have some experiences that I encounter frequently that make getting movement difficult, and I'm wondering if maybe you guys have encountered these same challenges, and we'll see if they'll come up as we start thinking about this problem. And I'll share some video clips with you guys about some of the things that have worked for me in addressing those challenges, and I'm sure you all have some ideas as well, because there are so many different scenarios in which these challenges come up. And of course then we'll talk about some suggestions that I have, and hopefully some that you have as well. So I'm throwing it out there. What are some situations that have maybe you guys have encountered that have made it difficult to get animals to move from one area to another? Any examples that you may have encountered, or any circumstances that seem to make getting animals to move difficult? I can certainly think of some. I even on this recent trip, there were some things that came up that I was like, oh, that's a problem. How are we going to solve that one? And I do have one video in here from my recent trip, although it's not an example of a problem, it's an example of a solution, which was kind of fun to share. That ties into our discussion, although they weren't having a problem, but it was just such a great example of one of the suggestions that I have in here of things that you can do to address problems of getting animals to move from one area to another. So your thoughts are appreciated. Any ideas, any situation you guys have run into where you just can't get that animal to move for various reasons, why it can't happen? Jordan says shifting blind through guillotine doors is always tricky. Yes, I agree. Definitely. Let's see. Animal getting too much attention, which the animal liked from caretakers when they didn't shift. So we've got sort of a matching law situation there. So maybe it's not reinforcing to move into the area where you want it to move because it's more reinforcing to be elsewhere, right? So sort of going back to our matching law and response allocation live stream that we did in the past, which I was just looking at that, and I'm going to address that when we get to the end of our live stream, because there's a new track badge that kind of talks about response allocation and some other things. So that's a really good point. Why should they go where you ask them to go? Very good point. I like that one. Yes. Any other thoughts? I like, the shifting blind through guillotine doorway or doors makes me think of a whole bunch of things, because that is, I think, relates to probably one of the biggest challenges I encounter as a consultant. I'm kind of leading you all down a pathway there to an answer, I suppose, but maybe some of you all have encountered this particular problem that I'm thinking of. And Annetta says, she started to type something but took it away. Retracted. Other animals in the group creating problems. Yes, that's definitely one that I have on my list here. Group dynamics, the challenges of working with groups of animals and how that influences the likelihood that your group will shift. Yes, for sure. I think that's a really common scenario in which we have challenges in getting shifting happening because of the group dynamics. That is a big one. So I definitely have a few videos to address that situation. So that's a great example. Thanks, Al. Definitely. What are some other situations? One of my favorite chimps would leave a few toes or a foot in the doorway to prevent it being closed, would let other group members inside too. Those chimps are so smart. Yep. Yes. Yes, let everybody else inside, but I'm not going in. Yes, those primates are really good, or those great apes, about sitting in the doorway, aren't they? Naive to the new environment. Yeah, so maybe no reinforcement history for entering that space whatsoever. Yeah, that's a good one too. If the animal has too much bad experience shifting to the particular area, used for unpleasant experience, unpleasant things like maybe for the veterinarians coming in, maybe for sedation, so they don't want to go in that space again because of aversive history. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's a good one. Yes. Okay. And again, that kind of that could tie in also with what Al was saying about with the group dynamics. So we could have aversive events occurring due to group dynamics, which could make it so that the animals would be less likely to move in those directions. Yeah. Let's see. I'm thinking ahead to what my slide says about some of our challenges without giving it away. It could be, it can be more reinforcing to fight for the door if the animal sees you hustling to close it and lock them out. Okay. So you're thinking if it's maybe reinforcing to be in there, maybe they get maybe they show some competition about there. Yeah, so that ties in with one of my video examples actually, in terms of shifting to go in the space. One of the examples I'm going to share with you is actually with some hoof stock, and because one animal in particular really wants the food items, it pushes the other animals away, and so that keeps everybody from going into the I don't know. It's not really a chute, but just kind of a passageway, and so the other animals don't want to compete with that animal to go into that space because it becomes aversive to compete with that animal. So it's hard to get other animals to move into that space because of that animal, but there is strategies to address it in this particular example. Al says inexperienced trainers. Sorry. So that may make it more challenging to find ways to reinforce, because maybe those trainers just don't have experience and seeing the ways that they might be able to reinforce small approximations. Okay, I'm going to take a sip here. Sorry, guys. I need some caffeine this morning. All right. So no one's mentioned yet my one that is my most common problem yet, other than sort of that related to the guillotine door thing that Jordan mentioned earlier. But a lot of the other ones you guys have mentioned. So it's the one that for me, that when I come in as a consultant and I'm always going, oh man, how am I going to figure this out? Because of I have to get really creative. I don't want to give it away. I'm still gonna let you guys think about it a little bit. Maybe I wonder if I should go to a video and maybe that will and then we can come back to it. Let me see what might be a good video. I'll show this video here. I'm going to show you a video first, and that may make you think of the one that I'm thinking about. So I'm going to show this lion video, I think, first. Let me see if I can find it now. Where did it go? Oh, there we go. Okay. So with this lion, you're going to see lack of space to move. Oh, yeah, that could be a good one too as well. So you're going to see these lions. This was in Indonesia, and they wanted the lions to shift from one side to the other. And you're going to kind of see the before and after, and that might trigger some thoughts for you. So let's watch this video first. Back over, because you might be able to get him to shift. Good. He has to think. Oh, he's thinking. Here we go. Show that target. Show him the target. Yay, feed. Yay, you got your cat to shift. Don't let him bite it. You can avoid biting by not putting it all the way through the mesh. Okay, do we want to shut this door so someone can train the other one? So I'm just going to turn the audio down on that, and we can let it play, and maybe it triggers some more thoughts for you. What's something that you may have noticed in this video? Obviously, we can talk about solution, but what do you think was the problem? Yes, when the door is in the wrong place for the species, too close to the ground for small primates, or in the back of the pen, like in this video, so the trainer goes away, or so the animal goes away from the trainer. Yes, so I would say that is probably the biggest challenge that I have in a lot of places where I go, is that just the way the facility is designed, that I have to figure out a way to communicate to the animal where I want it to go, and it's not easy to do that for various reasons. Like in this case, as you can see, the way the enclosure is designed, the shift door is far away from the trainer, and it's all concrete walls, and so of course there's no easy way to get like a target or to toss food, or there's just no way easy way to communicate to the animal, I want you to go through that opening that's way far away from me. And so as you can see, we did some target training, which this animal had not yet learned how to target. So we took our chances that, okay, if we do build up some reinforcement history with this target, then maybe we can use that as a way to communicate to this has earned some reinforcement history now. So if we've built up that reinforcement history, will we make the big approximation of go through that door way in the back there? And in this example, it worked for us. So that is usually one of my biggest problems, is that the enclosure design was not super conducive to getting a shifting behavior. Really calm lions. Yeah, not super excited about the food, which is probably okay since our openings are nice and big, huh? All right, so I'm going to go to this slide now. So what are some of the things that can make getting movement difficult? So I think for me, one of the biggest ones is the design of the enclosure. And I think Annette mentioned some more things too, like where that opening might be. It might not be designed for the species that's in the habitat. So sometimes, it might be an arboreal species and the door is on the ground, and so all those things. And again, like you saw in that particular example, the door is at the back, and I could prefer it in the front, or the door is in the middle of the wall, and that's not an easy spot. Or it may be concrete walls instead of wire, and so I don't have a great way to access the animal to give it information. So that usually is my biggest challenge. As a lot of you have mentioned, the group dynamics can definitely impact the shifting behavior. Sometimes the physical condition of the animal itself, like it might be a specific individual that has challenges with mobility that can affect how well I can get movement. And sometimes just species-specific behavior, the capabilities of the animal and that environment that it's in. And then another one we haven't, I do think Al mentioned something about fear responses to people. So fear responses to people can make it difficult for us to get shifting behavior or movement at all. And so how do we address that? And so we're going to look at some examples here. And so that can tie in with the lack of motivation and unclear instruction, and how do we address that? So all of those are really good examples that you guys are talking about. And so all of these can result in that it can be difficult to get any action started to reinforce. And that's really what we're trying to do. Can we get just any kind of movement whatsoever that we can reinforce? And what we're really, sometimes we're just looking for really tiny, small approximations, and so that we can start building that behavior of getting some movement. So what are some of our strategies? So you saw a little bit with the lion there that, and maybe you guys can throw out some suggestions too. I mean, I've got a bunch of videos here, but I'm happy to hear some of your thoughts, some of your suggestions on how do we get movement started when we might have all these challenges. What are your creative ideas? How do we get things started? And clearly, I'm going to show you a video of some zebra because I got a photo here, but I've got some other video examples for you as well. And feel free to throw out your thoughts on how you might get started with these situations, because this is one of the challenges I encounter frequently, is people wanting to get animals to move and they're faced with challenges. So we saw one example with a lion there. So using a target can be a great way to start. And sometimes we take a leap of faith that we're going to get a big approximation like the one we just did there. So why don't I go ahead and show you the zebra one. The zebra, as you're going to see, we had issue with one animal that was likely to get access to all the food first by being a bit pushy. And so again, I want you to think about the conditioned reinforcers. So the target's a conditioned reinforcer. Well, these animals also know these grain tubs as conditioned reinforcers. And so one of the things we can do is we can take advantage of things like that to spread animals out and create small approximations and avoid competition for food, and start getting action that we can reinforce and start moving animals through this passageway that you see here from the field out there where they spend their day, and bring them into the barn here. And so we can start getting approximations, and eventually once they've learned that they need to all go through this passageway, we can start eliminating all those little conditioned reinforcers and basically teach them to pass all the way through until they get to another location where everybody's going to get food, where it will be all spread out. But these are just getting the action started, getting the steps started. So here's a video that shows you what that looks like.
I mean, if there's some that are willing to eat, so we might save some back. So obviously this is your confident dude.
Chef? Yeah.
I want to, so those two are just
like
going to come
the best.
with
Like,
we could, okay, so those two are going to try now. Yeah, but you could see as soon as they didn't have to compete with him, they're willing. Here we go, here we go. Yeah. Yeah. All right. There we go. There. All right, back up. Oh my gosh, there we go. Yay. Fantastic. Hopefully they'll find the trough. Yes. Excellent.
Oh. Okay. Sorry, that went away fast. So let me answer this question here. So in the lion video, only the one lion moved by the way of the target. Would you move one at a time like that, or how would you move both all in the cage at once? So, if I recall correctly, that was a while ago. I think we did eventually teach both of them to go to a target. So we did end up moving one at a time, but we had to teach each one separately at first because they both didn't know the behavior at first. So we did move them one at a time initially. And for me, I feel a little bit more comfortable doing that because I don't want to have competition between lions over food. So for me, I prefer to do that and have a little bit more separation of two carnivores personally. I feel more comfortable with that. So let me show you another example of groups of animals and avoiding competition. I think we've looked at this one before. With the spider monkeys, we used stations that we set up when the animals shifted through a doorway. They would all go sit on a specific station. We also used hanging targets as individual targets that went by their station. So each animal had a location-based station and a hanging target that was supposed to be for the individual animal. And all of those are conditioned reinforcers too. And Annetta says another thing that can make shifting hard is if the animals have to cross another kind of surface, like going from a sand area over a concrete path. Yeah, for sure. Stuff that we think about that sometimes those designers don't think about. So with these spider monkeys, we've got the station that's location based. We've got a target of that's hanging that is specific to the individual. We also have put the animal that's most likely to have issues with the door being shut right by the handle that controls the door so that we can reinforce that animal more frequently when there's any movement towards the door handle. So that's a little extra thing, although this is more about movement. But we build reinforcement history for coming to these stations, and that's going to help us with movement as well. And it also addresses competition that might be going on within the group. So here are these spider monkeys.
Arnold, good man. You know where your station is?
Oh, sugar girl.
And it looks like Annetta has a comment, right, Jordan? And maybe they are only in contact with the aversive surface during shifting. Yeah, that's a good point. All right, and so to add to our, I kind of skipped ahead here to our conditioned reinforcers. And I think because conditioned reinforcers, in my opinion, have been super helpful in these getting animals to move things. And we'll go back to some of the other ones there. But, conditioned reinforcers. So building reinforcement history for other conditioned reinforcers to allow these bigger approximations to be captured. So we can use things like stations. We can use lasers as targets. We can use the bowls as targets, that the animals know, like you saw with the zebra. Sometimes the people, are the conditioned reinforcers. They've been so associated with food. And so I want to show you another one. And sometimes, we've talked about sometimes the animals are competition, so they're aversive, but sometimes the animals are a good thing. Some animals prefer to be in a group, and so they want to be with their buddies. So I'm going to show you an example from my recent trip where I want you to think about all of the different conditioned reinforcers that keep these animals moving in different directions and moving together, actually. And we may not, well, it's not too long of a video. We can watch the whole thing. But, this is basically just working on a recall behavior that's going to be part of a presentation. And the whole behavior is going to look completely different, but we're basically building up reinforcement history for all these various conditioned reinforcers that are going to help ultimately. But think if you can see if you can identify all the different conditioned reinforcers that are going on here for the behavior. Works. Yeah. Now you can do it with one person. Deleting, huh? Yeah. Mm-hmm. So there was a lot of things that those birds were paying attention to, and hopefully you noticed that, which I think is kind of interesting. And Al says another thing that makes shifting hard is when the balance of reinforcement is off. One area has a higher or lower reinforcement history. Yeah, so that goes back to our matching law stuff, right? And you know, when I first arrived there, the birds didn't know the green mat, and we added the green mat, and and by the end there, you could, you know, I don't know if you could notice from that video, but you know, initially they were luring onto the mat, and by the end there, not in that video clip, but in that video clip, the animals could come to the mat first and reinforcers could be delivered afterwards. So they definitely knew the mat, and we were going to use that to our advantage for some other things that they want to do down the line. But yeah, so they also know to come to the guy. They also recognize the hand movement. They also recognize the whistle, and they also recognize the mat. So there's a lot of things that are predictors of reinforcers coming, which they can use to get movement out of those animals that are going to be helpful for them for their ultimate goals. Obviously, they're just doing training sessions in the hallway there, but all that's going to be taken out to a stage area later, and then they're going to eliminate certain things once the animals learn how to do that in a specific location. But all those are sort of safe, you know, sort of backup things to help them get the behavior happening where they want it to happen. So having all those different condition reinforcers are really helpful for them. All right, I want to show you. Oh, and the other thing I forgot is the group themselves, right? So the birds want to be together, and that team is working with a lot of flock behavior. And so, you know, one of the things that they can do is if an animal, let's say those guinea fowl are all returning back into their enclosure, and one of the birds gets, you know, distracted for whatever reason and, you know, doesn't go back into the enclosure. A lot of times they'll want to get back to the buddies, or they can send the flock back out. They can call them back down to a green mat, and they'll collect that other bird and bring them back with them back into the enclosure. So that's another strategy, is using the group to help pick up another animal, if that makes sense. So since we did a lot of, you know, I was watching that team do a lot of flock behaviors while I was there with different species of birds, you know, that was often a strategy. And those of you that are familiar with flying flocks of birds, you know, that's something that, you know, is frequently done, is just, you know, hey, we'll just go send the flock out to scoop up that straggler and bring them back with everybody. So groups are sometimes a really good thing. It's not necessarily always about competition. Okay, so let's look at another conditioned reinforcer and how we use that to get action, especially for shifting. And get movement. So this was with a binturong. Actually, I said some of you follow my social media. I posted a card with a footprint from Bindi the binturong. This is her from my friends at Santa Ana Zoo. We wanted to work on teaching. She was moved into a new habitat, a really lovely habitat, and she just didn't have a lot of experience shifting into the back area, and they just wanted to work on that. But she has a really super solid crating behavior. She absolutely loves going into her crate. And so we took advantage of that as a way to initiate her shifting into her back area. So we set up the crate, you'll see in the doorway to the back area, and asked her to shift into the crate. And then we just turned the crate towards the back area, and basically also used a little luring, set up a trail of food, and had a keeper in the back area. She's very comfortable shifting towards people. She likes people, has a lot of experience with people, and then you'll see how we use that to get her to start shifting into her back area.
Bindi bear.
Do you want to be in my spot so she can see you better?
Bindi. Bindi. Good girl. Good girl, Bindi. There you go. Good job, Bindi bear. Hi. You want to come up here? Bindi. Hi. Good job, Bindi. Good girl. Hi. That's a good girl. I'm stepping over here to not confuse her.
Looks good.
Best I've seen her get out of there.
She did a good job climbing down.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, great, Bindi.
Alright, we're gonna shut the door then. Not that you care, because there's Alright, Linz.
Don't care that the door is shut. Okay, I think that's repeating. The second part there was just shutting the door behind her. I don't know if you could see that very well. I had to edit it a little bit there because it's going on for quite a while, but I wanted to tie in with Annetta's comment about the guinea fowl, where she says, very nice, cute. They were flying every time they were going back to their own pen, walking away when they were going away, which I think ties in with Al's comments too about the rate of, what's more reinforcing. So for the guinea fowl, being in their enclosure is more reinforcing than being away from it for various reasons, whether they get the bulk of their diet there, because obviously they were just working for their preferred food items there. But they also get, the bulk of their feed there. They live there all the time. It's where they get to do their dust bathing and all that fun stuff. And I think for Bindi, we were giving her a lot of food back there, which you didn't see on that video clip because that would have been just boring to watch her eat the whole time. But she also didn't have a lot of reinforcement history for being back there just yet because they were just working on building all that up. But those are good points to keep in mind. I also wanted to talk about luring, how we get action by luring, not just with all these conditioned reinforcers. And I think we've looked at this video before, but it's a good one to watch a little bit again, because that's the photo here with the bear. But again, this one has to has to do with that, not great enclosure design. How do we communicate to the animal where we want it to go? And so really the only way we could tell this bear, I want you to go through this door, was to throw apples through the door to get her moving in that direction. But we did enough repetition of it that she started to figure out, oh, I need to go through that door. And so then she started predicting that was what was going to happen. So she started offering behavior, and then we were able to throw the apple after she made the movement, and then we were able to start getting that behavior on cue, and then and eventually she did learn that. So this was just the beginning of that. I think I've edited it down so it's shorter, hopefully. The whole training session was like a 10-minute training session, but I think this is a short version.
What does she get for going out? Anything? So is there a reinforcer for going out? Anything that she gets out there when she goes out? Nothing?
Czy jakieś wzmocnienie w momencie, kiedy wychodziła na zewnątrz?
Just sound and
Ona zrozumiała tylko w innym kotliku, teraz jest w innym miejscu.
She wanted to go out there.
yeah.
Right?
Wait.
Too smart.
Yeah, and well, it's too reinforcing to be here. All the good things are here. Do we have a whole apple or something? Let's just practice. Let's go get a whole apple.
Tam masz jej wiaderko zielone. Spełna.
She's not going to learn it by a piece of apple. We've made it too good to be here.
Actually, he knew how to do it, but
Yeah.
in that cage, not here, because we changed
Is
her.
that out again?
And then just,
Wait,
yeah, and throw that whole apple. Does she see it?
wait.
Hide your dog food. Ah. Okay, there you go.
Wait.
Okay, and then and then when she comes in, just don't give her anything.
Okay.
And then we'll try it again and give your cue.
Wait.
Okay. And now this next one.
Spytaj się, czy masz możliwość.
Next time give the cue first and then throw the apple. You can hide your dog food. Well, do we have another one? No? Okay, because we're going to practice this. We'll get it right. Okay, so this time hide your apple, hide your food. You're going to say your cue. And then wait to see if she does it.
Okay,
And
yeah,
then
yeah, yeah.
and then throw the apple afterwards.
Wait. Wait.
She's waiting to see the food. Okay.
Go.
So when if say your cue, then and if she looks, then throw.
Wait. Wait.
Now throw. Yeah. If she looks, so we're going to reinforce approximations of her.
Lepsze ręką
going.
Ale ona wie, o co chodzi.
Okay.
Wait. Wait. Hey.
Oh.
Się kąsem. Okay. Cisza. Wait. 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 Cisza. Wait.
Very close. Almost have it.
Wait. Wait. Cisza. Wait. Wait.
Almost got it in one session. All right, I'm going to show you a couple more quick ones of different ways that we can get action. With this gibbon, we noticed that, and again, some of these you've seen before in different ones, but they're just reminders that we have some other options. You know, thinking about different types of reinforcers. The gibbon that was looking at himself in the window, you know, let us know that he was interested in his reflection, and so we can use that mirror to get him moving. So I'll show you this one really quick. That's just a reminder to pay attention to what your animals are engaging with. That'll give you more ideas for what reinforcers, the potential reinforcers in the environment. Using lasers as targets. Here's another gibbon example, and using a laser light as a target to, you know, sometimes help you get around those weird corners. He's done chewing. There you go.
Yeah.
Good job.
I'm
Good job.
too
That's
fast.
all right. That's all right. You're just used to the other guys. That's all. Excellent. All right. So. We have the good stuff. Oh, yeah, we do. Yeah, we do. Okay, let's practice. Yeah. Maybe just on the ground. Oh, there you go. Okay. And then I know a ton of you have watched the presentation on the constructional approach. That whole idea, well, I should say the constructional approach to addressing fear responses and aggressive behavior. So these are the animals that want distance as a reinforcer. So there's some of you that may be working with animals that are not going to approach you for anything. They are at the opposite side of the enclosure saying, no way, I'm not interested whatsoever. And again, I just came back from a facility where, they have animals that, some of these are hoof stock, really flighty hoof stock that there's absolutely no way they're going to take food from you. You can drop food in front of them and you're going to have to go all the way so far away out of sight that, that's when they may consider taking food. But they are so, they find people such an aversive stimulus that you really can't consider food as a way to make a connection with these animals. What they want is distance as a reinforcer. And we have had so many breakthroughs at this facility using distance as a reinforcer that I am very committed to the constructional approach with a negative reinforcement contingency used in a very non-coercive manner as a way to connect with these animals. And so if you haven't seen that presentation, I really highly encourage you to check that out. It's in the animaltrainingfundamentals.com program. I've presented it at numerous conferences. So hopefully you've had a chance to see that. If not, thanks, Sean and Masa. But yeah, I've got some more examples from this recent trip that, again, amazing stuff. I'm very happy about it. And I'm going to post one of them this afternoon on social media that you guys can check out with a dick. That was, again, one of those moments where my clients are just super thrilled, super happy. But I'm just going to quickly show a clip with the wolves that some of you have seen before. But again, this is another way to get animals moving towards you that want distance as a reinforcer. And, you're not going to be able to, present a target to them or lure them with food. And so, again, this one some of you may have seen before, but I really want you to think about it as a way to get animals moving towards you that want you to walk away from them.
Yeah, boys, let's go. Come on.
We're also combining this with food as a reinforcer for some of these animals, but you'll also notice that many of these animals in this enclosure are also not getting food. It's only the 2 alphas here. So most of the animals are moving forward because we are moving away from them. So funny, once you start walking away, they come running. Okay. Okay, that was a short clip of it because I could keep you here all day talking about that approach. So so that is another example, and the last example I wanted to share with you is if you have animals that are potentially or may have disabilities that compromise their ability to respond to maybe your traditional approaches, we still have options. And I wanted to share with you an example from my work in Indonesia with the Borneo Orangutan Survival Foundation. There was an animal there named Greppy who unfortunately had been shot and permanently disabled. He had loss of vision and really spent most of his time just staying in kind of a tire swing. He didn't really respond to much of anything. He didn't hardly move at all. And so we started with extremely, extremely small approximations. We made a target that made a sound. We put some rocks, little pebbles in it, so it would make a little rattling sound. And first we even had to find something that he would respond to that he found appetitive, and we finally found something. And we were able to get him to just, barely touch this thing. And over time, we were able to get him to move his body towards this target that made sound. So this was huge for the team there because, they felt his quality of life was pretty poor because we couldn't even get him to move at all. And so here is Greppy. You'll kind of see where we started, and the last time I was there, which was before the pandemic, unfortunately, you'll see him moving around to a target that makes noise. Oh. Yes, good. Yes, oh, that was so fast. I think. So, Greppy's a great example that you just got to get creative, and you can figure out ways to get movement in all these bizarre situations that we're dealing with, in which it can be difficult. So just to kind of recap some things here, sometimes shifting goals are difficult because we just have no easy way to reinforce the movement of the animal or the group. And this can be a result of enclosure design, group dynamics, the physical condition of the animal, the species-specific capabilities of the animal, and in those contexts that we're dealing with. And Jordan likes the addition of the pebbles for the sound. Yeah, we in Indonesia, you just get creative. We just drilled a little hole, put some pebbles in there, and then we blocked the hole with another pebble that fit perfectly, and it worked. So this is where trainers have to really get creative in using all of their skill sets to develop solutions. We need to think about the ethology of the species, antecedent architecture, shaping, obviously, matching law, which a lot of you brought up, conditioned reinforcers, function-based interventions, etc. So all, it isn't just practical application. It's a lot of behavior science in there that's really being applied here. So we are often tasked with finding solutions to behavior challenges that are not straightforward. And while not every problem can be solved with training, there is still a lot we can do when we allow ourselves to use our knowledge of behavior science and ethology to think through the options. So I hope some of these examples just, kind of inspired you a little bit, helped you think creatively when you're out there applying all this stuff and bringing in your behavior science at the same time. I appreciate you all being so patient with me since I couldn't get this to work last time, but it made my recovery from jet lag yesterday a little bit easier. I didn't have to work on preparing this yesterday. And I'll have more for you next time because I am here in town next week. So just to tell you what's new, I know it's been announced a bunch since I first announced it on Facebook, but I really wanted to remind people about this book from Joe Lang and Paul Adranis, and I'm not going to get all the authors' names correct here, so you're just definitely going to have to go to the website, but look for nonlinear contingency analysis at, I don't even know if I'm going to pronounce the website right, routledge.com, but there is a discount for 20% off. It's also on my social media page there, and there's the code as well that you can use at checkout. So I know somebody posted that they thought this was a challenging read. I actually thought it was really pretty accessible. I don't think it's a difficult read. I think it's actually pretty accessible. And the reason I really, really encourage you all to read this is this whole process of thinking about behavior in a non-linear way is really what opened my eyes tremendously, especially when it comes to thinking about, and our friends from Constructional Approach to Animal Welfare and Training say amazing book as well. So you got two big or I don't know, six thumbs up for this book. It really changed this thought process, changed my perspective on how I look at everything now. I mean, I just don't think in a linear fashion. I think about all the different layers of contingencies that are occurring at the same time, and that gives you just a different outlook on how behavior is occurring. And so that's what's really, now when I go to a facility and I consult, contingencies are popping out at me, and so it helps me do my job better is all I can say. So and so I'm really encouraging my clients to notice the aversive stimuli and say, you know what, I see that contingency now, and you know what, I'm going to respond to that. And at the same time, I may be using two or more contingencies to influence behavior. I'm not just thinking about one thing at the same time, and I see everything. I look for everything, and I try to see everything, and I want my clients to see those too. I don't want us to be just thinking about one thing at a time and saying, oh no, that's the only thing that's happening. I don't want us to be having a narrow focus. So I really think this will help you a lot. And again, I found it very accessible, so I think you will too. So go get it. And it's not super long. You won't be overwhelmed. So I encourage you to check it out. I also want to remind people that this is only 2 weeks away, this hands-on animal training workshop that we're Lynn Lee Schmidt and I are doing at Frank Buck Zoo, which is just outside of Fort Worth. And this is it's right before the ZAA conference. So if you are attending that ZAA conference, you just come in a day early and you can join us for that animal training workshop at Frank Buck Zoo. You will have an opportunity to do a little bit of hands-on training with some of their domestic species. And then there's going to be lots of training demos. And then we'll do a few hours of lecture as well. And you'll get to see the zoo as well. So I know it says 4 spots left, but I believe there's only 2 spots left, or 3 at most. So you'll want to jump on that if you can. And then just to remind people that members of animaltrainingfundamentals.com, you do have the opportunity to earn what we call verifiable badges for course completion when you take certain courses in the program. And the way these work is that once you complete a course, you get this little badge here, and you can put that link to that badge on a resume, on a performance evaluation, on social media. And how it shows there is that verification that basically says your name and that you took the course and when you completed it, and so people can verify that. And I actually just added a new track badge on all about mastering motivation. So basically it's a bundle of courses that all have to do with motivation, and there's like 12 different pieces of content that you complete that are about motivating operations and various aspects of that are included in that. So really in-depth information on that, so you can feel like you mastered motivation, I guess. And then tomorrow for members, we do have a Tower Talk at 11, same time as this. And so if you are a member, you can join that. If you are not a member, you can still join. And just go to animaltrainingfundamentals.com and pick a membership option and use the code sunglasses to get that 25% off discount. And oh my God, there I am, looking all jet lagged, but I'm here. And to remind you, those of you that have been, wondering what's up with the legal situation, I did post an update while I was on the road. I kind of wanted to wait because I had limited email limited access to the internet and time to respond to comments and things like that. But I do intend to post an update this afternoon with more detail, and I've been in touch with my lawyers and whatnot, so I'll provide that as well as that video of the Dick training, which I plan to post in addition to that. So there'll be more information to read this afternoon, probably not too long after I wrap this up. So we're at another big juncture now. So again, I appreciate all your support on all this. It's been crazy, but here we are. It is what it is, right? So thank you guys. And I'll read some more of your comments here. Amazing book. Still waiting for the book. Looks so much forward to it. Al says it's a wonderful read as well. So you got lots of recommendations to get that book. So no excuses. You got to get it in your library. I agree. And I guess we've wrapped it up for today. So I appreciate you all being here and joining me for my jet lagged day. I hope it was interesting for you. I've got lots more ideas since my recent trip of cool stuff to talk about. I always get inspired when I get to go out there and hang out with people and train for a few weeks. Really some amazing stuff that I got to see, and very inspiring. And like I said, lots of application of constructional approach with animals showing fear responses. So just cool transformation. So awesome stuff. If you haven't gotten on board with that yet, then you're missing out, is all I can say. And so are your animals. So I hope you will learn more about it. All right, guys. And Jordan says, shifting challenges is one of my favorite topics to discuss. Thank you for presenting today. Oh, good. I'm glad to hear that. I know, and we kind of just focused on one little aspect of it. We talked about closing the door last time, and this time I just wanted to talk about movement specifically, just getting animals to move, not so much the door aspect, because we kind of covered that on another one. So if you haven't watched that one, definitely go back and check that one out, because I think there's a lot of details, specific details to address. So that's kind of the fun part about animal training. We can really get nitpick all these little details. Sean and Masa say the orangutan video with sound got us thinking. Barbara, very creative arrangement to get fast behavior change. And thank you so much. Yeah. And Michelle says thank you as well. Yeah, the Greppy was one of those ones that tears at your heartstrings. It's a really sad story. So you really want to help animals like that who are living those lives of what's going to happen for them. They're there for the rest of their lives, so you want to think about ways that you can improve their lives, and to be able to, that was so reinforcing for us to get that little bit started, and then the team was able to take it so much farther, and I'm sure they've done even more with them now. And they have a few animals there that unfortunately are visually impaired due to what's happened to them out in the wild. So now they've made progress with more than just him, but Greppy was definitely one of the biggest challenges. So that's the cool stuff of getting to do this kind of work, for sure. Yeah, so I can't wait to hear what you guys do with that information. You'll have to tell me. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for being here. I look forward to seeing you next week and some of you tomorrow, I hope, and we'll do it all again. All right. I'm going to let you go and enjoy your day, and I'll look forward to catching up with you next time. And I'll post something for y'all to read this afternoon. All right. You take care, and we'll see you again soon. Bye, everybody.